Now I know the question you're probably asking is, this is a 6-cylinder engine and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spark plug holes are visible. The 6th one is hiding back there. How are you going to change the 6th spark plug, you idiot? Well, everyone, welcome back to Project RX4.0. As you can see, not here to dilly-dally around. The engine is in, it's all good to go. Let's take a look at how we did it.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me, cause she got a bad little waist. And we tearing down this place off the
Firewall Vanisho. All right, so we've got some free air conditioning in the firewall here. These are just really rough cuts because you can always cut more, can add it back later and that, but I'll probably end up doing this just for appearances, if anything. So if I get the sump now, let's see if it actually fits in there. So you see the front of the sump is almost clears that sway bar. Then I can probably just section the front of that off to actually sit there lower. Obviously I need to cut the back of the sump there, but I think I've cut back almost far enough there. Might be able to trim a little, I'll probably have to trim a little bit more off there as well before we start, but that's pretty much it. At least it gives me an idea of how far back I want to be with the engine, because obviously what I still want to be able to do while it's in there is, you know, it's pretty clear. So obviously while the engine's in here, I still need to be able to possibly remove the rocker cover if need be for some kind of reason. If there's, you know, I need to look at some valve train sort of issue or whatever, I need to be able to remove the rocker cover. So I can't have it recessed too far back and changing spark plugs and stuff like that too. So realistically, I want it low enough and not back far enough and the firewall recessed enough that I can, lift that valve cover up and that. I'm not sure what the go is. I know with FG engines, as far as I'm aware, the VCT setup, you can sort of twist the VCT solenoids and just pull them out. But with these like BABF engines, you have to leave them in place, pull out the seal, and then lift the valve cover or rock cover and push it backwards and then take it off. So that's probably a bit harder than the FG setup. Now, I'm going to get an FG rocker cover anyway because I'm going to try and run GDR coils or 370Z coils sort of thing in it, because I need an internal igniter to work with the Haltech setup. So I'll probably do that, but I don't know if I can run that FG VCT setup sort of solenoids with it. Probably make a hell of a lot easier. So I don't know if anyone knows that they've done that before, if it's engine specific sort of thing. I assume it probably is, but yeah, next step is I'll probably cut a little bit more out of this tunnel, and then I'll hack a couple of great chunks out of this sump to make it sit down where I want it to sit basically as low as I want it. I'll measure the top of the engine, and then once that's there, I'll put the sump back on the engine and it can go in. So, alrighty, getting closer to what we can use for a thumbnail. This is what it looks like now. So yeah, done some cutting in that, and I've cut probably a bit more here than I need to, because what I want to do is when I put it in the car, I don't want to have to take it out and trim a bit and then out. I'd rather just cut a massive chunk out and then weld in, you know, whatever the required box around it is here. And same with here, I sort of cut it down to the point where, you know, I can just make something here and up later. It's much easier to just do that rather than, you know, this is a big heavy engine to, you know, put it in all the way over in the engine bay and then pull it all the way out just to trim a bit, because, you know, once it's on the engine, I can't trim stuff because, you know, all those metal shavings are from the aluminium dust and it'll go into the engine. So got mounts there. That's just a mount from Tough Mounts, their universal kit, and you know, I can make stuff like that. I have made them plenty of times that, but I just cannot be bothered. It's just easier when people make decent products like that. At, you know, you can just buy it or whatever and get on with your project. So one less thing I have to do. Realistically now, I am at the point where it is time to put that in the engine bay. So exciting times. Let's do it. Settle. Some cutting, grinding, swearing and welding. Engine is in, and if you can see that, pretty happy with how level that was. That was actually 1.1 degree down. I was like, that's close enough. Then I realized that the tire on this side was actually flat, pumped it up and right on the money. So that is awesome. If you take a look at some of the clearance we've got around here, you can see we're all good. So one thing I will have to do, bud, is work out a plan for here for the turbo exhaust. So I'm assuming I'll mount the turbo somewhere up here. Come down. I'm going to be making a log manifold. I'm not going to be making one of the like a collector style manifold. I'm just going to make a real basic log style manifold. So if that's a bit tighter across here, hopefully I'll be able to come down here and then go underneath. You won't be able to see it, but go underneath basically here, part of the where that bell housing is, and run along the ground there. So that is hopefully all right. What I'll do now is I'll mount the radiator and I'll just show you what setup I've got already for that. So this is an aluminium radiator for a rotary for a car just like this, an RX4. So you'll see here that the outlets are here and here. So what I've done is I've cut those off just temporarily. Normally that radiator would sit opposite to this, so those outlets would be here. So what I'll do is, because this is a twin pass radiator, so it actually has a baffle in here, so when the water comes, hot water comes in here, it's forced to go through here, come down and go through there before it comes out again. So what I'll do is I'll clean these up and weld it on this side, and I will weld an inlet and an outlet on this side. So then, yeah, the inlet will just be able to come straight out of here and straight in, nice little short path. And the outlet, where's that on this engine? Here it is. So we'll just come straight out of there, and then I'll just do an aluminium tube up to there, and then we'll just do some Raceworks 90-degree silicon there and there. The other thing you can see here is the amount of clearance we have here, and if I just get a tape measure, now anyone that owns a rotary knows that this tube can just be cut off right there, and then you can run a massive intercooler. Now, I do not believe I can fit an intercooler in this space to run an air-to-air. What I'm thinking I'm going to have to do is definitely just bite the bullet and have to run a water-to-air intercooler setup. Now, water-to-air intercooler setup poses its own sort of issues. First of all, where do I put the water-to-air intercooler? I think that, you know, if I can get a really skinny radiator, like a 50mm radiator for water-to-air intercooler, I can still mount that up the front. What I also have to consider is I want to put air conditioning still on this. So my thought behind that is that maybe I can get an air conditioning condenser that can be low enough and just go, you know, somewhere here on an angle. So if it's just from the sway bar on like a 45-degree angle up to the bottom of the radiator or something, I'll see if I can get just some factory one that's a bit smaller or something to keep costs down and throw it in. But yeah, my biggest challenge now that I do need to work out is working out if a front-facing plenum goes on there, how much space do I have after that from where the throttle body is to put some kind of, you know, water-to-air intercooler on it. So I have seen other setups where, you know, out of a factory sort of setup like this, you'd have the throttle body, and then you'd snake back and then have the water-to-air intercooler like a barrel here, and then you could go straight down, and then you'd have your turbo piping coming off and going over and up to it. That would work fine, but yeah, if I've got a front-facing plenum, I just need to understand where that's going to come out to, and then does that mean, I mean, I've got this space here that I can hack up and take out, because as you can see, it's just, there's nothing there. So realistically, I might have to look at one of those more, not the barrel type ones, the box type ones, and have a look at engineering something there whereby, you know, we're going to take away a fair bit of metal, but if we reinforce it all there to keep it all strong. And then I guess the best part of that, if I do have a forward-facing plenum and I don't have lots of pipe work in that all up here, is I can make a really decent strut brace, because this has to pass a test, a torsional test. So one of the big tests this thing has to pass, that's the only one that's sort of scary, so to speak, engineering-wise, is a torsion rigidity test, which is basically a test where you know, one side of the vehicle will be, I think, bolted to a jig, and the other side has a load applied to it, and then they measure the deflection from that after that load's applied. So what I'm thinking is, if I can get the forward-facing plenum to work, it means I'll be able to make like a really serious strut brace sort of thing here, whereby, you know, we can triangulate it back to the firewall, and then also have it wrap around, you know, try and wrap it around this way here as well or something. So, because one thing I've already noticed here is that this engine actually sits fairly low. It's going to be pretty hard to see here, obviously, and I haven't put the bonnet on it yet, but it's actually sitting fairly low. So I'll give you a bit of a look at the engine mounts. All I had sort of lying around was this sort of 3.5 mil sort of rectangle RHS. I've got the Tough Mounts kit, and I've welded that to the factory cross member to give me my spacing. And all I'll do now, because obviously this is it's just temporary to get the engine exactly where I want it to be, I can cut this to the shape that I want, box it all up, and finish it and dress it nicely. So yeah, that's how it looks at the moment. That'll be its look. So it's looking pretty good, and obviously you can see the cuts that I made to the firewall were pretty needed. There's nothing really there that I couldn't have done. So now I know the question you're probably asking is, this is a 6-cylinder engine, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spark plug holes are visible. The 6th one is hiding back there. How are you going to change the sixth spark plug, you idiot? Well, this plenum cover here that holds the wiper motors and whatnot comes off very easily with just these screws. So my plan is I just remove this plenum cover when I want, and I get a hole saw and I drill a hole in the bottom of this plenum cover up here, and that'll give me perfect access straight down to that, straight down to the 6th spark plug hole if I ever need to. However, this isn't a rotary engine that eats spark plugs all the time. These things, you know, you're not really going to go through spark plugs a heap, so I don't envisage it being a massive problem. Other thing you can see here that is an issue, but not really, is that's the PCV breather hole. So I will weld that off and relocate it to like here or somewhere like that anyway. So that's no dramas. This is very close to here, so I might actually cut that off and grind that down too, because yeah, who cares, whatever. Just gives me a bit of extra clearance for when I want to get the rocker cover off, if I ever need the rocker cover off. You want to always forward plan for worst case scenario for the stuff like that anyway. All right, so that is the hard part, I guess, sort of done and out the way. The engine's in, it's all been mounted. The main thing to do now is trim the tunnel up a bit more and probably get the gearbox in there, then make a gearbox cross member. Once the gearbox and the gearbox cross member are in there, that means everything is locked into place totally. So at the moment, the engine east-west is perfect, but north-south, it's sitting sort of on a perfectly 90-degree angle, and we want to have it, you know, facing downwards about 4 degrees roughly to give us a little bit more clearance around the front sway bar. So once I get the gearbox in, I'll be able to do all that. So that'll be mint. So yeah, the main thing that I wanted to do was obviously get this in there so I can plant it, you know, make sure everything's good, and now I can move ahead with all the things that I want to do, all the fun stuff. So, all right, that'll just about do it for today. Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe, like if you like this stuff. Share it with all the people that like Barras or maybe rotary guys to, you know, increase the salt on them. But I don't know why people complain about, wow, you know, rotaries are perfect for it. There's a rotary in that. Over here on the shelf, I have close to another like 10 rotary engines I could build out of parts and that. I've been racing, driving, everything rotaries for almost the last 20 years. In between those 20 years, I've had a fair few of RB30s as well, and I've had one 2J. I've never had a turbo Barra. For my street car, I wanted cubes, and it's as simple as that. The main thing is, it's my car, I'm gonna build it my way, and I'm gonna have fun doing it. You want to build your own car with a rotary? No problems. I've got plenty of parts I can supply to you, so hit me up. But yeah, get out there, get in the garage, build your own car, build it your way, and have fun doing it. Till next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you then.